Reading the first letter of John can be a repetitive experience. The author frequently returns to the same themes of light, darkness, love, and sin, circling back to ideas he has already addressed. This structure centers on three specific requirements for the Christian life: correct belief, obedience to God's commands, and an active love for others. We can navigate this letter by identifying 9 specific tests that John presents to his readers. These tests appear across 3 repeating cycles, providing a set of checkpoints to evaluate one's faith. Understanding how these 9 checkpoints function provides the necessary framework to use John's repetitive style as a system for verifying your own salvation. Although the letter is technically anonymous, early tradition identifies the author as John the Apostle. He was one of the original 12 disciples, working as a fisherman on the Sea of Galilee before following Jesus. John writes this letter late in his life. He adopts the tone of an elderly spiritual father, often addressing his audience as "my little children." After leaving Jerusalem, John relocated to Ephesus, a major city in the Roman province of Asia. From this center, he oversaw a network of local house churches in the surrounding region. As the last living eyewitness to the ministry of Jesus, John possessed the authority to address doctrinal disputes. His first-hand experience allowed him to speak with a level of certainty that few others could claim. John composed this letter in the AD 90s, well after the original apostles had died. He wrote during a period of conflict. A group had recently departed the fellowship, creating a sharp division over the nature of Jesus and the definition of sin. These departing teachers held views associated with doceticism, a term from the Greek word dokeo, meaning to seem. They claimed that because matter is evil, the divine Christ only appeared to be human and did not actually possess a physical body. John refers to these teachers as antichrists. Their departure left the remaining church members in a state of uncertainty, doubting whether they were truly following the correct path. John states his reason for writing in chapter 5, verse 13. He wants his readers to have absolute certainty. He writes, so that those who believe in the Son of God know they have eternal life. This letter is a direct response to a community facing a crisis of confidence. John provides a practical way for them to distinguish between those who belong to God and those who do not. The false teachers argued that the divine Christ could not be joined to a physical, material body. To them, Jesus was a spirit who only looked like a man. John counters this by emphasizing his physical senses. He reminds his readers that he personally heard, saw, and touched the physical body of Jesus with his own hands. John insists that a physical body was required for Jesus to serve as a propitiation. A propitiation is an atoning sacrifice that satisfies the penalty for sin. Without a real physical death, the mechanism for forgiveness is lost. To deny that Jesus came in the flesh negates the entire logic of the gospel. Because this issue is so central to salvation, John addresses it with absolute, uncompromising language. Imagine the letter's structure as a spiral with 3 cycles, creating 9 checkpoints. First, the doctrinal test, believing Jesus came in the flesh. Second, the moral test, keeping God's commandments. Third, the love test, showing tangible evidence of love. By repeating these 3 tests 3 times, John builds a cumulative case for assurance. Each pass through the spiral reinforces the same truths, making the evidence for a believer's standing more apparent. When John writes that those born of God cannot keep on sinning, he is not describing sinless perfection. He is referring to the habitual practice and the general direction of a person's life. Genuine faith produces an observable result. Like a healthy plant bearing fruit, a life transformed by the Spirit naturally reflects John's 3 tests. Biblical assurance is not based on a subjective feeling. It is based on the objective evidence of sound doctrine, a lifestyle of obedience, and a sincere love for others. You can see this framework in action by reading the first 4 verses of chapter 1. Watch for how John immediately establishes his eyewitness authority and introduces the theme of life that he will cycle through for the rest of the letter. By looking for these 9 checkpoints, you can move past the repetitive nature of the text and find the specific evidence of eternal life that John intended for his readers to see.